Yeah, that would be a lot of energy every day.
I would be nervousness. That's what I would be doing.
Alright, this is your warm-up for today. I'm going to give you a couple minutes to look at these three. You just need to decide which one doesn't belong and why. So take a few minutes, look at these, and decide on which one does not belong. I'm going to label them. Alright, what do we think? Which one does not belong and why? B
is my guess.
Okay, why?
Because it looks like there's two lines.
So one is your x-axis. So technically yes, but one is just your x-axis. But it's also none of the other ones are around the x-axis. So okay, so B for be around the x-axis. Any others? Yeah. D doesn't have a line. Anyone else? Why would A not belong? It's ascending because it's positive, it's ascending, sure. It's going up instead of all these other ones going down. B is around the x-axis. That's really it. Why would C not belong? Yeah, so it's not like the line of best fit is not its best fit. They're not close together. So not line of best fit, that's what that stands for. The dots are more scattered. Right? Any other reason any of these would not belong? I didn't think we'd have time to do the lesson we have to do and do a whole, what we did last class, linear regression, line of best fit stuff, so I figured this would be similar. So today, actually before I do that, escape. Okay. Just in case you did not get my email, I will not have office hours today. I will have them tomorrow and Thursday. I forgot I have to take my sister to a doctor's appointment. But tomorrow and Thursday. Many of you have not been coming to my office hours, and you only have a few weeks left, bless you, to get your grades up, bless you. So you should be in my office hours every day that you're available to get your grades up, if you need to get your grades up. To do retake work, to do missing tests, to get help on Delta Math, all of the above. Remember that the 1st, November 1st, which is in a couple weeks from now, is the last day I'm accepting retake work. So if you don't have retake work done after that date or by that date, you're not retaking on the 2nd. I would not wait until then because everyone's going to have the same mindset to wait until then, and then you won't have the chance to do it. Get it done as soon as possible. Come see me after school as soon as possible if you need to bring your grade up. All right, questions on that? Or there's a phone on there. Is that anyone's phone plugged up over there? Go check. Or it could be the iPad. I don't know. Alright, so go ahead and put your phones away, off your desk, not in your hands, not in your lap. I will say that this is the last lesson of this unit, which means your quiz and tests are coming up. Your quiz is next class, but you can still use your notes. It's so collaborative. Your tests will be next Wednesday. This objective is the most missed because we're not paying attention, because the word problems are confusing in general. So we gotta pay attention to this. Ask all the questions you have so that we're not confused. If you would like a highlighter, there's a bunch in the white bin back there. So with any word problem, you want to read through it, circle, highlight, underline anything you find important. Because that's going to help you start writing the equation before you solve. So I'm going to read the first one, and then go find important information. So for the county fair, you and your friends plan to attend the county fair this weekend. The admission to the fair is $5, and the cost per ride is 50 cents. If your parents gave you $20, write and solve a linear equation to find how many rides you can go on. So what do you feel is important from that one? Okay. Anything with numbers is usually going to be important. What else? The cost per ride is 50 cents. So that one. The $20. And what are we looking for? What does the question ask? How many rides we can go. So that's really important to know, what are you solving for? So those are all important things. Now, at the top of this, it says we're going to be given a slope, given an m, and a y-intercept, and we have to put it in the slope-intercept line. So when we write out this, we have to define some variables. What is our y? What is our m? What is our x? What is our b? If you see the word per or for each, that's going to tell you what your m is. So that means m is going to be your 0.50. So you can either label this off to the side, m equals 0.50, or you can put it just like I did. This per means this is going to be m. Somewhere, this is going to be m. Okay. If you have a one-time fee, so like you only pay the admission once, that's going to be your b. In these cases, you're either given X or you're given Y. It depends on which one. So if they gave you $20, that would be like the total amount you have. Total is usually Y. So that's going to be your 20. Yes. So there will be cases like that, but it will be specific, not in this section. So ask that question again when we get to a different section. Okay, so now we have our M, we have our Y, we have our B. So the how many rides, that's going to be the X that we're looking for. So we're going to say X is going to be number of rides. M and X usually go together. So number of rides, or if you're looking at cost per ride, the ride would tell you that's going to be your X. So then we can take all of those things and start to make an equation. Our Y is going to be 20. Our M, 0.50 or 0.5. Don't know what X is, that's what we're trying to find. So that stays X. And then total, we would be adding, so plus 5. Now we have our equation. Now we can solve it. How would we solve it? How could I get X by itself? Sure. Subtract 5 to both sides, so we have 15 equals 0.5x. Divide. So if you don't have your calculator, you need to go grab that. Get a habit of grabbing that before you sit down. Now, because these are real world problems, we can't just put 30. We have to put labels. So 30, what? What what are we looking for? 30 rights. Okay, so in your word problem, the highlighting, circling, that part is for you so that you know what you're looking for. What's important? You need to label your variables, set up your equation, solve it, get your final answer, and make sure it's labeled. Do we have any questions on that one? These are the easier types because you're given everything. You don't have to really solve for much. Right? We're going to try and do 2 of each type more if time permits. So I'll let you guys choose. Number 2, 3, or 4. Which of those would we like to see do or go over? I heard different ones. So number 2, raise your hand. Number 4, raise your hand. Okay, 2, 1. Alright, so let's read this. Deep Creek Lane. While your family is visiting Deep Creek Lane, you and your mother decide to go boating. The rangers charge $6.50 per hour in addition to a $25 deposit to rent a canoe. If you wish to rent the canoe from 12:30 to 3:30 p.m., write and solve a linear equation to find the total cost to rent the canoe. So important things. What do we feel is important? $6.50 per hour, $25 deposit, the time, that's important. And what are we looking for? Total cost. Alright, so let's find our variables. What's what? Do you see the word per somewhere? Yes. So that's going to tell us our, what variable? M. The $25 deposit, are you doing that more than once? No, so that would be which variable? B. Right? Here, this one is switched from the last one because our question is asking about total cost. So this is going to be the Y. That's what we're looking for. That's what we don't know. Which means the time, and we can kind of look at what M said per hour. So the number of hours would be our X, which is how many hours? 3. Right? So now we can start to put that all together. So when we write it in an equation, how would we set that up? Y equals 6.5 or 6.50, either or, times 3 plus 25. So sometimes when you put everything in, you're not really going to be solving everything. You're just going to put it in and find the answer. Those are nice. Okay, so you can either put this all in at the same time, or you can multiply it and add. Go ahead and do that. And tell me what you got. Do that number one more time. 4.5. Is that what we all got? Yeah. And then what would our label be if we're looking for total cost? $44.5. Do we have any questions so far? These are the easier ones. We're about to get into some harder ones. Get into some harder ones. Alright. So, the quiz and the test, they will not be sectioned like this. Most likely you'll have one of each type of what we're about to do throughout the class. Your job will be to recognize what is given, how could you set it up to be solved. Alright, and this next section. Notice that you're given two different objects. That means you're comparing two different things. And the format is different. So I'm going to read through number 5, enchiladas. Sam ordered 2 tacos and 3 enchiladas for lunch at the restaurant. His bill came to $7.80. If the enchiladas were $2 each, write and solve a linear equation to find the cost of each taco. What's important? $2 each.
The bill.
The bill. What else?
2 tacos.
The 2 tacos, the 3 enchiladas. What are we looking for?
Cost of that.
The cost of each taco. So now, in this format, your A and your B are going to be whatever's given. The two different things that are given. So the number of tacos, the number of enchiladas. Will always be either given A and B or X and Y. We'll see here in a minute. Your C is always going to be the total. Your X and Y will always relate to A and B. So here we know that the enchiladas were $2 each. So this is going to be X or Y. It would be, yeah. So if I put this as B, then this would be X. But because I put enchiladas as, sorry, backwards, whatever I just said. Since I put this as B, this would have to be Y. Which means our X is going to be the cost of each taco. Okay, so this one has more variables, so more things you have to label what they are. But when we set it up, it has to look like this. ax plus by equals c. So let's start putting that into that equation. So our A would be 2. We don't know what our X is. It's just going to say X. Plus B is 3. Our Y is 2. So I'm going to change that. And our C equals 780. Then we're going to start to solve. We can multiply 3 and 2. And how would I solve this for X? Subtract 6. 2X equals, what would that be? 180. And then divide everything by 2. So X would be your different numbers. So you can write it as 90 cents or $0.9, either or. So either or. Don't mix them. Don't put 0.9 cents. That wouldn't make sense. Do we have any questions on how we set this up? Found the information? Got the answer? Alright, we can start one more. I don't know if we'll have time to finish one more, but I'll let you guys choose. On the back of this, numbers 6, 7, and 8. Did you tell me that? Okay, 6, raise your hand. I want 7, raise your hand. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, raise your hand. So 7 was the one that won. This is a good one. It's most likely going to be on your quiz or test. Right, so for the piggy bank, Jesse's piggy bank has all dimes and quarters. The total value of the money in her piggy bank is $11.40. If Jessie has 36 quarters, write and solve a linear equation to find the number of dimes she has. So at the top of the page, I'm going to rewrite our equation before we do anything else. That way we have it, we're not flipping back and forth. Right, what's important in this? Right, total value is $11.40. What else? We have 36 quarters. We're looking for the number of dimes. Something else important that it doesn't have a number to, but the fact that it has all dimes and quarters, because that tells you what type of money you're dealing with. Okay, so when we start to label some easy things, the total would be which variable? C. Right. 36, you can call that A or B, X or Y, it doesn't matter. Which would be rather A, B, X, Y? Okay, sure. That means everything else related to quarters would be X. Number of dimes is then going to be B. But we don't have X and Y listed. This is information that they assume you know. The missing information would be the value of the dimes and the quarters. So X is going to be 0.10. Nope, because X is A. 0.25. And Y is going to be 0.10. So that will be information that you have to bring there. Okay, we'll pause on that until we get back to lunch. Okay, so we found all the variables for this one, but we need to set up the equation. How would we do that? What would this look like? Remember, it's going to be in the format ax plus by equals c. So our A would be 36 and 0.25 plus B times equals so it'd be set up something like that, and then we could start to solve. Go ahead and multiply 36 and 0.25, tell me what you get. 9. Evenly 9. Right, then we can solve for B. I just rearranged 0.10 and B so that it's a coefficient instead of being multiplied. So if we subtract 0.10 B equals what? And if we divide both sides by 0.10, B would equal 24 what? What were we looking for? Number of dimes. So dimes. Also, I meant to write this out, but so number of dimes. Right. So far in and the two different types that we solved, the first one gave us our m, gave us a b, and gave us either x or y. We had to solve for the other one. In this case, we were comparing two different things, dimes and quarters, tacos and enchiladas, two different things. One of them you'll have something that's related to one of them, the other one you'll have to solve for, and you'll be given something. Right, now in this next section, so we're going to start at number 9. First, do we have any questions on this one? So now we're going to figure out what we have and don't have and have to solve for it. For the canoe. At Eagle Bay, it costs $10 per hour to rent a canoe. Nick and his friends rented a canoe for 3 hours and paid $45. Write and solve a linear equation to find the cost to rent the canoe for 8 hours. So what's important here? The cost $10 per hour. What else? Okay. That they rented it for 3 hours and paid $45. And that we're eventually looking for the cost to rent it for 8 hours. So, similar to the first set, what could you tell me that we have? What variable do we have for certain? Pull off on x and y. Do we have m or b? Okay, what's m?
$10 per hour.
That word per, that's going to tell you that's your m. And this one, we don't have a b. We don't have like that one-time fee or whatever. Because they're telling us the amount of time he rented it and the amount that he paid for it for that time. So those two things go together. That is an x and a y. But when we were given stuff like this before it was word problems, we would use our point slope because we have our m, we have our x, let's call that 1, and our y 1. So we're going to use our point slope, which I'll write up here. To figure out our equation, to figure out b. And once we have b, then we can go back and find that last part. So this is like a 2-step part. Right? So the y and the x here, those stay just y and x. Y1, that total, it's not our complete total, it's just the total of this amount of hours. It's going to be here. Equals our slope of 10. Then in parentheses, just the variable x minus our x1 of 3. We're going to solve this just like we did before. What would be our first step? Distribute. We have 10x minus 30. And then to get y by itself, add 45 to both sides. So the equation we have is y equals 10x plus 15. That 15 would be the b. That would be the deposit that they'd have to give in order to rent the canoe at all. But that's not what it's asking for. We still have to find the cost to rent for 8 hours. But we couldn't have done that without this equation. So now that we have that equation, this is another x that we can put directly into this one. So now we're trying to find the cost, our y. Leave 10, put in 8 for x, and add 15. Remember when I said it's going to get harder? This is what I meant. There's more steps, there's more things to do. Go ahead and calculate that and tell me what is y. In a minute. 95. 95 what? We're looking for cost dollars. So when you get something like this where you have M, usually you'll have M and not B. You'll have an M, you'll have X and a Y. You'll have to put that into your point solution, get your equation, use that equation to solve for whatever's left. Sometimes this will just ask for what the B is, so like number 10. And you won't have to do that second step, but it depends on what it's asking for. Do we have questions on number 9? Go ahead, please. Theo just asked so many goes by. Theo, you can go. Come right back because you're starting a line. Alright, so look at numbers 10, 11, and 12. Which of those would we like to see go over? So we'll say 10 and 12 are different than what we just did, but 11 is similar. Nico, what were you going to say? Sure. No one really voted on that one, so we're just going to do 12. Alright, so for security systems, a home security company provides security systems for $5 per week, plus an installation fee. The total fee for 12 weeks of service is $210. Write and solve a linear equation to find the cost of the installation fee. What's important in this one? $5 per week. What else? The total fee for 12 weeks. I'm really just going to highlight this entire sentence because these two go together. What are we looking for? Cost of the installation fee. Notice that they said something else about the installation fee. That's going to be your B. That's what we're solving for right now. B. Bless you. Of the numbers given, what do we have? What other variables? We have Y. I also heard M. What's M? For 5 per week. We actually have Y and X, which is which? 12 weeks is X. And the service, the total amount is your Y. Alright, so we're going to use our point slope again. I'm going to write it again up here if you need it. If you want to make this make more sense, change that to X1 and Y1 so you don't put it in the wrong spot. So we have Y minus our 210 equals our slope of 5 times X minus our X1, which is 12. Okay, distribute. And add 210 to both sides. What is that number? 150. So then what's our B here? 150. There's nothing else left to do because we solved for B. And B would be a cost. So still have to put the label even though it's in the equation. We can't just point to it unless we put a dollar sign. Right, so be mindful of what it's asking you. Don't keep going if it just asks you to find B. There's no reason to keep going if you only had to find B. Questions on that one? These, I will say, are the most complex, but that depends on how you solve it. There are multiple ways to do these. So let's start at 13. Internet. To surf the internet for 25 minutes at an internet cafe, it costs $7.25. For 40 minutes, it costs $9.80. Write and solve a linear equation to find the cost for surfing the web for 1 hour. What's important here? So, what variables do you think we have here? Let's eliminate. Do we have an M? Is there this is M thing? Is there anything that's like a one-time B? No. So we're not given M and we're not given B. That means we have to find M in order to find B. So this would be equivalent to when we were writing equations and we're given 2 points. These are like our 2 points. This would be your x1 and your y1. This would be like your x2 and your y2. So I'm going to show you how to do this algebraically, then I'm going to show you how to do it in a calculator, and then you can choose which one you would rather. So algebraically, if we're given 2 points, we have to find the slope. So I'm going to write that formula off to the side, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Your second in line. So we have 980 minus 725 over 40 minus 25. So we can put that all into the calculator at once. We can do it numerator then denominator. It does not matter. As a reminder, doing this part in the calculator is not what I was talking about earlier, but is alpha y equals 0.17? Yes. Your fourth one. 0.17 is what you said today. Alright, so that's your M. And now, algebraically, we have an M. We have an x1, we have a y1. Now we can go back and find b the same way we were just doing up here. So it does not matter if you use the first set or the second set. We just have to use one of them. So let's say I'm using the 25 and the 725. We're going to put that into our point slope. Y minus our y1, 7.25, equals our slope, 0.17, in parentheses, x minus 25. And we're going to distribute and get y by itself. Y minus 7.25 equals 0.17x. What is this when we multiply it? 4.25. And then if we add this over, three. Now we have our b. So now we have our equation, and now we can go back and actually answer the problem, because we haven't done that yet. This one was negative. Okay, so before we do the last part, do we have any questions, confusions on anything we've done so far? It's a lot. So we found our slope. We put the point, one of the points in to find the y-intercept. Now that we found the y-intercept, we have our equation, y equals 0.17x plus 3. We have to find the cost, so we're looking for y. For surfing the web for 1 hour, but these are all in minutes. So we have to change minutes to hours, which would be how many minutes? 60. So for x, we're going to put in 60. And figure out what y is. What would y be? 10.2. 13. 13.2 what? Not minutes, because those will be put in dollars. So that would be all the work you would have to show if you're doing this algebraically. So I'm going to show you how you would do it in the calculator, but you would need to show some things. It is a lot, yes. So if you wanted to do this in the calculator, it's going to be the same method as finding line of best fit, so what we were doing last class. So in your calculator, so again, if you don't have that, you need that, so grab it. Let's reset this first, because everyone's been on it. Second plus 712. And hit those buttons, so we reset it. And you're going to go into stat. And we're going to go into edit. Number 1. Enter. Now in this case, we only have 2 sets of numbers to put in. It's not a whole list, so that's nicer. The minutes are going to go into L1, so 25 and 40. The dollar amounts are going to go into L2, so 725 and 980. Once you have those in, you're going to go back into stat. Scroll to the right for calculate. And you're going to go to number 4, linear regression, ax plus b. You can either scroll down to number 4 and hit enter, or just hit 4. Scroll down to store regression equation. Hit alpha trace. And then enter 3 times. That should have been a negative, so what we just did was incorrect. Fix that at a later time. So in the calculator, it's going to give you that equation that we did all that work to solve for. Even though ours was wrong, but that's okay. So you would type or write that equation, y equals negative 0.17x plus 1405. It would be a linear thing, but I don't have space. If you have space, that's fine. And your work for this would be did in calculator. So if you can use your steps to get this on the calculator, you can do that. You don't have to do all of this work because you will have found your slope and y-intercept in that one thing. Now, we still have to do one last thing to find the final answer. You can either put 60 in as we did and show that work, or store 60 for x, so 60, STO, x, enter, and then grab it, alpha, trace, enter twice, and it would tell you what that answer is. Actually, it should have been something after n was wrong. That's why. It was, I flipped my things. Because it should have been 40 and 9.8 and 25 and 7.25. I'm going to put this, but then we're going to redo this calculator process so you can actually see the correct way to do it. This would be the work to show if you did it in the calculator, just writing that you stored 60 for x. So you could do all of that in your calculator, or you could do it all by hand. So we're going to pick one more, we're going to do it all in the calculator, then you'll have time to practice, because we've been going at this for a long time. Alright, you guys choose 14, 15, or 16. So for number 14, let's read it. Temperature, water boils at 100 degrees Celsius or 212 degrees Fahrenheit. Water freezes at 0 degrees Celsius or 32 degrees Fahrenheit. If the weather forecaster says it will be 25 degrees Celsius today, write and solve a linear equation to find what Fahrenheit temperature this is. What's important? Say that again. 100 degrees Celsius, 12 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius, 32 degrees Fahrenheit. We're looking for what the Fahrenheit temperature will be at this. Right. So labeling. We don't have an M and a B, same as before, so it doesn't really matter which one you want to call X, which one you want to call Y here, but we just have to be consistent. So if we call Celsius X, all the Celsius have to be X, and then Fahrenheit would be Y. Alright, so in the calculator, we're going to put these numbers in. So we're going to go back to Stat, go back to Edit. We're going to clear these out. So go up to the top, hit Clear, and scroll down. And do the same thing with the other one. Put the Celsius, or whichever one you labeled X, in one of the columns, and the Fahrenheit in the other. Scroll over to calculate. Number 4. Scroll down to store regression equation. Hit alpha trace. Enter 3 times. So we have our equation. Y equals 1.8x plus 32. And our work did in the calculator. Then we need to find the temperature. So we'd be looking for Y, since we label all the Fahrenheit's Y, when X is 25. So we're going to store 25 for X. 25, the STO button, X, enter. And then grab your equation, alpha trace, and enter twice. So 77 would be our answer. What would our label be for this? It will have F, but there's something else. So we wouldn't just say Fahrenheit, we would say degrees Fahrenheit. So it needs both, the degree symbol and the F. Okay, so if you can use the calculator to do these types of problems, it will make your life easier. But you're more than welcome to do the algebraic method as well. Right? With the remaining time left in class, you are more than welcome to go through any questions in this packet. There are practice ones where they are mixed, starting with number 17 and on the back. / work on the Delta math that is due next Friday. Use each other. Let me know if you have questions.